You might not realize it yet, but certain everyday foods you rely on are becoming increasingly vulnerable to shortages. Climate change, unpredictable weather patterns, supply chain disruptions, and labor shortages are all quietly tightening the screws on how easily these staples reach your table. When demand spikes and production falters, prices skyrocket and availability plummets, leaving you scrambling. If you want to stay ahead and avoid the frustration of empty shelves or inflated costs, it's smart to think about what you should have on hand before the crisis hits. Stick with me as I break down the 5 key foods you absolutely need to stockpile and why. Watch to the end, because this could save you a lot of hassle down the road. Number 1. Tomatoes. Tomatoes have been a big staple for most families who are growing gardens. Cherokee Purple, by far, is the best tomato, with its rich, sweet flavor and deep purple-red color that stands out from the usual bright red varieties. In fact, Cherokee Purple tomatoes have been rated among the top heirloom varieties by gardeners nationwide, prized for their complex flavor profile that combines smoky, sweet, and slightly tart notes. In my opinion, all your other tomatoes, like the common beefsteak or Roma, are not good in comparison. Beefsteak tomatoes, while popular for their large size and juiciness, often lack the nuanced flavor of heirlooms like Cherokee Purple and Roma tomatoes, known for their dense flesh and low moisture, are great for sauces but don't deliver the fresh eating experience. Let me know what your favorite is, by the way. Tomatoes are in shortage because of the reduced water rainfall and the fact that it is a pretty heavy feeder when it comes to fertilization. For example, tomatoes require significant amounts of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium to thrive, which means farmers need to invest more in fertilizers to maintain healthy crops. Now, in California and a lot of places that are growing tomatoes en masse, you're starting to see the shortage because of the weather and the regulation, like water usage restrictions and some supply chain issues, including transportation delays, and even not having workers at the farms due to labor shortages or health concerns. For example, California, which produces nearly 90% of the fresh market tomatoes in the US, has faced severe drought conditions in recent years, leading to mandatory water restrictions that have forced farmers to reduce planting acreage. Now, what that's going to do is that your regular tomatoes will cost more. When we think of tacos, or we think of spaghetti, or we think of anything like that, all those items need a tomato-based product going into sauces or seasonings. For example, a classic spaghetti bolognese relies heavily on tomato paste and sauce for its rich flavor, and tacos often use fresh diced tomatoes or salsa as a key topping. In fact, the U.S. Department of Agriculture reports that tomatoes are the second most consumed vegetable in the country, largely because of their essential role in a wide variety of dishes. So that is a big deal. We're going to see shortages or price increases on simple things such as ketchup, tomato sauce, tomato paste, and then, of course, the main fruit of tomato. So my best advice to you is to get a grow bag and grow your own tomatoes. It's fun to grow, they're better to eat, they're better quality than any you'll buy at the store anyway. Research from horticultural experts shows that grow bags improve root health by allowing excess water to drain and air to reach the roots, reducing the risk of fungal diseases common in tomatoes. You can even use 5-gallon buckets, in fact. As long as you use a food-grade bucket and make some little holes in the bottom for drainage, you can grow these. Homegrown tomatoes often have more flavor and freshness compared to store-bought ones, which may have been picked early and transported long distances. Studies have shown that tomatoes harvested at peak ripeness from home gardens contain higher levels of vitamin C and lycopene, an antioxidant linked to health benefits. But besides that, if you don't want to grow it or you don't have a place to grow, you better start stockpiling some of the tomato-based products. I would challenge you to learn how to can tomatoes. It's pretty easy because they're an acidic fruit or vegetable, if you want to call them that. There's an argument with that, but you can learn to can them and learn to do all your own paste, sauce, and even stewed tomatoes for all the foods that you're actually eating each and every day. Canning tomatoes at home not only preserves their freshness, but also saves money and reduces waste. According to the National Center for Home Food Preservation, tomatoes are one of the easiest foods to can safely at home due to their acidity, and home-canned tomatoes retain much of their flavor and nutritional value. Number 2, lettuce. For the last 2 years, we've seen the shortages of lettuce. Lettuce is in shortage also for the same reason as tomatoes. For one, the harvesting is not happening as it used to due to labor shortages, and the weather has also played into it with unseasonal heat waves causing bolting. We've seen a lot of regulation on it, such as stricter food safety standards and import restrictions. For example, in 2024, several major lettuce-producing regions in the U.S. experienced record-breaking heat waves that accelerated bolting, causing lettuce to become bitter and unsellable. As if that wasn't enough, the Food and Drug Administration has increased scrutiny on leafy greens following past outbreaks of foodborne illnesses, resulting in tighter regulations that have slowed production and distribution. This means that even common salad ingredients are becoming harder to find or more expensive, affecting everyday meals. The USDA reported a 15% increase in lettuce prices nationwide, impacting consumers and restaurants alike. But do you know lettuce is literally the easiest thing to grow? Now I'm going to tell you how to grow lettuce. You can grow it in little pots, you can put them on the windowsill and grow a little head of lettuce, and you just pull off what you need. And lest I forget, lettuce needs about 6 to 8 hours of light daily to thrive. Also, if you don't have a way to grow like that, I'm going to blow your mind here. You can get a bag of topsoil, go to Walmart, Home Depot, or any garden co-op store, and buy a high-quality topsoil or potting soil mix. I'd look for garden or potting soil more than just topsoil if I were you, because potting soil usually has better drainage and nutrients, which is critical since lettuce roots are shallow and prone to rot if waterlogged. You can cut a hole in the top of the bag and just put a few seeds through there and scatter them around without planting them deep, and they will grow. Studies show that lettuce seeds germinate in as little as 7 to 10 days under ideal conditions, making it one of the fastest growing vegetables you can cultivate at home. So you can buy a pack of lettuce seeds for $1 or thereabout, and then buy a good high-quality garden or potting soil and cut the top out of the bag to make a little container with edges where you can water it and the water will drain out. This little makeshift garden is surprisingly effective. So for under $10, you can grow as much lettuce as you want, especially when it gets cooler in the fall, which is a great time to grow lettuce because it thrives in cooler weather. Optimal growing temperatures range from 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and lettuce tends to bolt or go bitter in hot weather. If you don't grow it, you're going to see shortages, and there's no real good way to put up lettuce for the long haul since it wilts quickly and doesn't freeze well. Refrigeration only keeps it fresh for about a week, and freezing causes texture and flavor loss. So you better start growing it or learn to substitute it in your diet with alternatives like kale or spinach. Number 3, strawberries. With the water issues affecting many growing regions, and also with the fact they've had a lot of disease in fruits this year, such as powdery mildew and gray mold, there's going to be shortages in strawberries. For example, California, which produces over 80% of the U.S. strawberries, experienced drought conditions throughout much of 2024, coupled with unseasonably wet weather patterns in spring that promoted fungal diseases, reducing yields by an estimated 20 to 30%, according to the California Strawberry Commission. These diseases, powdery mildew and gray mold, are notorious for damaging fruit quality and shelf life, causing farmers to lose significant portions of their crops before harvest. Similarly, Florida, the second largest strawberry producer, faced heavy rains and humidity that exacerbated fungal outbreaks, further tightening supply nationwide. Now, this is another thing. Strawberries are perennials, meaning they will produce once a year. But if you deep bed them, plant them deeply in the soil, they will come back each and every year. This perennial nature is a huge advantage for home gardeners and small-scale farmers alike, as a single planting can yield fruit for 3 to 5 years or more, reducing the need for annual replanting and conserving resources. So if you have a little spot in your garden, you can plant some. If you want to plant in pots, you can plant strawberries in pots as well, which is great for people with limited space or urban gardeners. In fact, urban agriculture initiatives across cities like New York and Seattle have reported increased interest in container strawberry growing, as it allows fresh fruit production in balconies or small patios. Now here's the cool thing. If you have just 2 or 3 strawberry plants, they're going to make runners, long stems that grow out from the main plant. And those runners are going to jump and they're going to bed, meaning they will root themselves in the soil and they're going to start producing more strawberry plants. This natural propagation means you can start making strawberry plants and start producing your own strawberries or even plants to sell at local farmers markets or to neighbors, turning it into a small side business. For example, some small growers in the Pacific Northwest have successfully scaled up strawberry runner production, selling plants for $3 to $5 each, generating supplemental income during off-peak seasons. So it's a way to help other people, and it's a way for you to stock up. Now, if you're not going to try to grow them, that's okay. Start buying strawberries and learn how to preserve them. If you can buy in bulk right now, that would be the best. They're in short supply, but if you start buying them early, you usually can get a bulk discount, or you can buy them in a pallet or a flat. This approach helps you start saving money, and then you can take them and learn how to preserve them. When it becomes a real big shortage in the near future, you either have the plants that you've started planting, or you have the extra strawberries that you bought for a little bit more economical price, and then you learned how to preserve them. That way you can enjoy the strawberries all summer long, whether fresh, frozen, or in delicious homemade jams. Number 4, mayonnaise. Now, mayonnaise is something so easy to make, and when you buy it in the store, you're often buying trash mayonnaise. It has so much bad stuff in it, like preservatives, stabilizers, and unhealthy oils. For example, many conventional brands like Hellmann's or Kraft Real Mayonnaise often list soybean oil or canola oil as their primary ingredient. These are often highly processed and can contain trans fats if partially hydrogenated, or simply contribute to an imbalanced omega-6 to omega-3 ratio in your diet, which some studies suggest can promote inflammation. Beyond these oils, you'll also find a cocktail of additives: calcium disodium EDTA, a synthetic preservative to extend shelf life for months, often up to 6 to 9 months. Natural flavors, which are proprietary blends that don't have to disclose their ingredients. And even sugar or high fructose corn syrup for sweetness, even though it's a savory condiment. Think about it. A typical 30-ounce jar of store-bought mayonnaise might contain upwards of 15 to 20 different ingredients, many of which you wouldn't keep in your pantry for direct cooking. Now, instead of buying a jar filled with questionable ingredients like modified food starch, phosphoric acid, or sorbic acid that you find in brands like Duke's or Miracle Whip, you can make fresh mayo in under 5 minutes using just these simple items: a high-quality neutral oil such as light olive oil or avocado oil for a healthier fat profile, a pinch of fine sea salt for flavor, and 1 fresh, preferably pasture-raised egg. Then emulsify them using an immersion blender, a process that typically takes less than 60 seconds of blending time, and you've got mayonnaise that's better tasting, notably more creamy with a richer texture, and far fresher than anything from the store. A batch made today will have a vibrancy and a pure flavor profile that a jar sitting on a supermarket shelf for weeks simply cannot achieve. You can then flavor it how you want, either with sriracha for a spicy kick, adding a teaspoon or 2 for a fiery aioli-like condiment, or just salt and pepper for a classic taste, perhaps a squeeze of fresh lemon juice, or a dash of Dijon mustard for an extra layer of complexity, which is often how gourmet restaurants prepare their house-made aiolis. It's so easy to make with stuff you already have in your kitchen, so learn to just make it instead of worrying about the shortage right now. Mayonnaise prices have gone up about 15%, and they're saying it's because of the sunflower oil and palm oil shortages, as well as shortages of other vegetable oils that go into making mayo. For instance, the Consumer Price Index, CPI, for mayonnaise, salad dressing, and other prepared sauces increased by 15.1% year over year as of March 2025, far outpacing the general inflation rate. Sunflower oil, which is a common ingredient in many mayonnaise brands like Hellmann's in Europe, has become scarce due to geopolitical issues affecting supply chains, specifically the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, which is the world's largest exporter of sunflower oil, accounting for approximately 40 to 50% of global supply. This disruption has cascaded, forcing manufacturers to scramble for alternatives like palm oil, which itself faces supply chain bottlenecks and sustainability concerns, or even more expensive alternatives like avocado oil. Also, egg-based products are impacted because eggs themselves are in shortage. The average price of a dozen eggs in the US soared by over 60% in 2023 and remained elevated in 2024 and early 2024 due to factors like avian flu outbreaks that decimated poultry flocks and increased feed costs. Because eggs are in shortage, you're going to start seeing shortages with mayonnaise too. So you see how the supply chain of things that are already in shortage are going to cause more shortages for products that rely on them. Please learn how to make mayo. It's so easy, and you're going to actually enjoy it more than any kind you'll ever buy from the store, offering a superior taste and peace of mind, knowing exactly what's in your food. Number 5, canned fish. This is something that we have always talked about. Canned fish, things like tuna, things like salmon, things like even sardines. You need to be purchasing a lot of that now. For example, canned tuna is one of the most popular canned fish products worldwide, with the global market expected to grow by over 5% annually due to its long shelf life and high protein content. Yes, it has mercury, but if we eat it in moderation, these kinds of things are not bad for us. In fact, the FDA recommends that adults can safely consume 2 to 3 servings of low-mercury fish, like canned light tuna per week, without health risks. Also, try to find wild-caught, non-GMO versions of canned fish, as these tend to have fewer contaminants and better nutritional profiles compared to farm fish. Canned fish is a great protein and a great way to buy protein to last a long time on the shelves. For instance, canned salmon can last for 3 to 5 years unopened, making it an excellent emergency food supply. It's also pretty economical right now. A typical can of tuna costs around $2 to $4, which is much cheaper than fresh fish or many meat options. However, it's going to be more in shortage because the steel or aluminum cans that they're put in are also in short supply due to global supply chain disruptions affecting metals. Also, fisheries and fishing industries face shortages caused by overfishing, climate change, and regulatory restrictions, which all contribute to reduced overall production. These supply chain issues then trickle down to us at the grocery store, making canned fish a big deal. If you start seeing that shortage, you might not realize how many people eat tuna, sardines, or salmon regularly. Many rely on these as a staple protein source in their main diet. It's also a way to save money and have protein provided for you at a pretty good price. Now, here's a very good alternative. If you have a place where you can go and fish, maybe a public access lake or pond, or maybe a friend has something, learn to go fishing and learn how to clean your own fish. According to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, over 49 million Americans participated in recreational fishing in 2024, showing how accessible this skill can be. Learn how to put that fish up, either through freezing or even learn how to can it. Canning fish at home can preserve your catch for years, but it requires proper equipment and knowledge to avoid foodborne illnesses. Now that you know which foods to stockpile before shortages hit, I'd love to hear from you. What's your go-to food item you'd never want to run out of? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And while you're here, don't miss our earlier video on why you should never buy meat at Walmart, where we dig into some eye-opening facts about meat freshness and safety. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you never miss important tips that help you stay informed and prepared.